Let's be honest. Have you ever set a huge, exciting goal feeling totally unstoppable, only to have that fire just fizzle out after a few weeks? Well, if you have, you are so not alone. So, let's get into why this happens to pretty much everyone, and more importantly, how you can become one of the few who actually crosses the finish line. 92%. Just let that number sink in for a second. According to the research, that is the absolutely staggering number of people who fail to stick with their New Year's resolutions. It's huge, and it tells us there's something fundamentally broken about the way we've been taught to set goals.
Yup, you heard that right. Even with all our best intentions, the vast majority of us just don't make it. It's a universal human struggle, for sure. But, it doesn't have to be your story. There is a way to the top. So this brings us to the million-dollar question, right? If we're all trying so hard, why do the methods we're taught, the ones that seem so logical, just not work most of the time? What are we all missing?
Well, the problem really boils down to something we can call the goal-setting paradox. We're handed this logical blueprint for success, but that blueprint is missing the most important thing, the emotional fuel needed to actually start building.
I mean, we've all had the SMART framework drilled into us, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And don't get me wrong, it's a great tool for creating a clear plan, but it almost completely ignores the emotional engine that we need to keep going when things inevitably get tough.
And check this out. This chart comes from a survey of thousands of employees. Only 14%, just 14, felt that their goals at work would help them achieve something great. And even fewer, only 13%, felt those goals would help them maximize their own potential. That is a massive gap between a structured goal and real personal motivation.
Okay, so if SMART goals aren't the whole answer, what is? Well, we need to shift from just the what of the goal to the deep down why behind it, and that is exactly where a different framework called hard goals comes into play.
Just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got SMART, which feels very logical, very practical, maybe a little corporate, But on the other side, you have hard goals. They're all about emotion, about what matters to you personally. They're built to connect with what actually drives us as human beings, not just our ability to tick boxes on a to-do list.
So let's break this down because every piece here is so important. Heartfelt means the goal has to mean something to you, deep down in your gut. Animated means you have to be able to picture it, to see it and feel it so clearly it's like it's already happened. Required gives you that real sense of urgency. This isn't just something that would be nice to have, it's a must. And finally, difficult. This one is so key. The achievable in SMART can sometimes trick us into aiming too low. A truly difficult goal forces us to grow. And you know what? Research shows that achieving something hard is way more satisfying. All right, so you've got a powerful, motivating, hard goal. That's your why. But now you need the how. How do you actually turn that big, inspiring vision into the things you do every single day? Well, the secret to that is in understanding how your habits work.
And in this quote from Charles Duhigg just nails it. Our habits aren't a moral failing. They're actually a feature of a super efficient brain. Our mind is designed to automate routines so it can save its processing power for new stuff. So if we want to change our lives, we have to learn to work with that system, not fight against it.
In his fantastic book, The Power of Habit, Duhigg shows us how this process works. He gives us the simple, elegant model that's running behind the scenes for everything we do automatically, from brushing our teeth to grabbing our phone when we're bored. And here it is, the habit loop. It's so simple, but so profound. It all starts with a cue. That's the trigger that tells your brain, hey, time to run this program. That cue kicks off the routine, which is the action itself. And then, at the end, you get a reward. The reward is what tells your brain, hey, that was good. Let's remember this loop for next time. If you can understand this little sequence, you can start to change literally any behavior.
Okay, but we have tons of habits. Where on earth do you begin? The most effective way is to find and focus on what Duhigg calls a keystone habit. This isn't just any old habit, it's one transformative habit that sets off a chain reaction, making it easier for other good habits to follow.
And this isn't just a theory. Take this amazing real-world story. When Paul O'Neill took over as CEO of the manufacturing giant Alcoa, the company was struggling, and his first speech wasn't about profits, it was about one thing: worker safety. By zeroing in on that one keystone habit, the entire company had to change. Communication got better, processes got streamlined, and the result? Not only did safety records improve dramatically, but Alcoa's profits hit an all-time high. So we have our why, that's the hard goal. We have our how, that's the habit loop. Now there's just one piece left. We need the map. See, change isn't something that happens overnight. It's a journey, and knowing where you are on that journey is absolutely essential.
This is a model called the stages of change, and it shows us that we all move through these really predictable phases. First is pre-contemplation, where you're not even really thinking about making a change. Then you move into contemplation, where you start to think, maybe there's an issue here. Next is preparation, where you're getting ready to do something. Then comes the action stage, and finally, maintenance, where the real work is sustaining that new behavior.
Now listen, because this right here, this is probably the biggest reason why people fail. They use the wrong strategy for the stage they're in. You can't use an action strategy, like buying a gym membership, when you're still in the contemplation stage, just thinking about getting fit. It's like trying to leap across a giant canyon. It's just not going to work. You have to match your tools to where you are on the map.
And this table shows you exactly why. It illustrates something called decisional balance. Look at the top row. When you're in that first pre-contemplation stage, the cons of changing, the effort, the costs, the fear, feel way bigger than the pros. But watch what happens. As you move into contemplation, that scale starts to tip. The pros start rising, the cons start shrinking. By the time you hit action, the benefits clearly, totally outweigh the costs. The trick isn't to force yourself into action, it's to work on tipping that scale in your favor.
So, let's bring it all home. We've looked at 3 really powerful ideas. Now it's time to see how they all lock together into one complete, integrated system for making changes that actually stick.
Think of it like this. Here's your new toolkit. Your why is your hard goal. That's the emotional fuel for the journey. Your how is the habit loop. That's the engine that drives your daily behaviors. And the what? That's your map, knowing your stage of change. When you put all 3 of these together, you've got a truly powerful system for real transformation.
Because at the end of the day, making a real lasting change isn't about just gritting your teeth and having more willpower than the next person. It's about being smarter about it. It's about having a strategy, a system. It's about having the right map to get you from where you are today to where you truly want to be.
So, that really just leaves one question. You now have the playbook that the successful 8% use. You have the map.